Hi, I'm the Moorlander and this is Moorlander EDC. Now today's piece of content is kind of a plan B. I mean, it's a great plan B, don't get me wrong, it really is a great plan B. I was going to do this maybe next week, but unfortunately one of my fellow motorists here decided not to check the highway code this morning. So while I'm waiting for a courtesy car and for my claim to go through, then, you know, I fall back on a plan B. Now this is a great plan B, but plan A hopefully will happen next week. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to release a second piece of content today. So if you're watching this, check my feed here on YouTube and you'll hopefully be able to see an interview that I did with the team over at Cribgoch. So I did this a few months back. I know I'm explaining something that's going to happen in the future, but there's this second video and it will give you more of an insight into the backpack that we're going to have a look at next week, which, you know, I'm talking in one piece of content about a piece of content that hasn't been made yet, especially if you're watching this in the future, because that will make even less sense. But what we are here today to look at is the Ki-V, is the Ki-V from Civivi Knives. I like the play on words that they did. It's based on a Kiradashi, and they're Civivi, so Ki-V from Civivi. I'd like a Ki-V, Civivi. Anyway, we're going to have a look at this wee little scamp today to see exactly what this is and why this has become a really... it's a fun knife. I know I shouldn't talk about knives in a fun way because of people, you know, you worry about the kind of implications of talking about fun things, especially with the situation that we've got in the UK at the moment around knife crime. But this is what a fun knife should be. It's just... it's a fun little knife, and I appreciate for being a full little knife. So before I start wandering off about why this is a great fun little knife, I will turn the camera around. While I'm doing that, if at any point you have enjoyed this content, please feel free to hit the like and subscribe button. That would be absolutely amazing. I'm trying to see if I can hit 10k by the end of 2022. But for now, let's turn the camera around and take a closer look at the Ki-V from Civivi. Now, I'm definitely not an unboxing style channel, but I think with Civivi knives, the unboxing, well, not necessarily the unboxing process, but the stuff that you get in the box is definitely worth pointing out. Got a bit dented as it was coming to me, but you know, the box is a box at the end of the day. It's just a form of being able to transport it. But when you get to the insides, you'll be able to see Civivi definitely do a little bit more. Now, I've been fortunate enough to be able to review some reasonably expensive knives that have literally just turned up in a box with not much else. Civivi don't have to do this, but they do because they do, and they're Civivi, and you know, it's what you get. Civivi generally are a budget to mid-range style knife. The knives that they do generally fall within that kind of price bracket, but the two that I've had so far have all had these. So you get like a little slip case. Now I'll open this up precariously. Here is the Ki-V, which I'll just put on my lap for a second. But then inside, so you get some stickers, you get your warranty information, you get a really decent sized microfiber cloth, which is actually really nice, and then you also get a little Elementum sticker. Now I absolutely love the Elementum. If you've not seen my Elementum content before, then definitely check this out. It is a modern day classic, and when you say stuff like that, it makes you think, oh, okay, someone's but it really is. And I think the Elementum put Civivi on the map for a lot of people, but this is really nice inside. It's got a nice fleece lining, so you get that, which is, as I say, you know, Civivi don't have to do that, but they choose to do, which I certainly think is a great thing. So here is the Ki-V. Now, Ki-V is a play on words. As mentioned, this is based on a Kiradashi. So a Kiradashi is a Japanese style knife that is more of a tool knife. So it's used in things like making quills. It's used in things like what's the calligraphy, the Japanese calligraphy when they cut their brushes, all of that sort of stuff. So it's generally a knife that tapers towards the end, and then you have a flat cut on here. Now, with the kiridashi generally, and I'd love to hear if I am wrong on this, certainly down in the comments. Generally, kiridashi just has a chisel grind just on one side, whereas this has a grind on both sides of the knife. But this is what it's looked at, or at least this is what it's modelled on, especially where you see the grind on this going up. So rather than a flat grind or a spear point or a drop point, you have this acute grind that then that follows up through here. So that's actually what this is based on. Now, other than the fact that you have this grind here like that, a lot of this really does differ from a kiridashi. Generally, kiridashis aren't folding blades, and well, I mean, that's the massive difference. They're generally not folding blades, but you can see the similarities between the two. So as we usually do, we'll go through some measurements, we'll go through some materials, and then we'll have a look at this beautiful little knife. So while it is open like this, from the very tip here to the butt of the scales, this comes in perfectly at 100 millimeters. When it's closed, so hopefully you'll be able to see there is a slight extended tang on this. As far as the opening method is, it is a flipper. Now, actually, let's carry on with the measurements. So you'll be able to see that there is definitely an extended tang past the scales here. So from the end of the extended tang back to the butt of the scales, that comes in at 60.6 millimeters. If I get this open, as far as the blade length is concerned, this comes in at 39.4 millimeters. Now, usually at this point, you know, I'd start to talk about the cutting edge and why it's important that we measure the cutting edge. Especially here in the UK, blades need to be at least they need to be 3 inches or less for them to be classed as legal. The whole length of this blade in inches comes in at 1.55 inches, which really is tiny. You know, you certainly don't need to worry about carrying this here in the UK. The other difference with this is a slip joint. There are 2 detents which pinch the blade in its open position and in its closed position. There is no locking mechanism on this to keep it open other than those pinch detents. So this is perfectly UK knife law friendly. And certainly when I've been in the office, when I've been in the studio and I've needed to use this knife, you definitely don't get any, oh, someone's pulled out a knife, what should I do, kind of worries from that, because I mean, look at it, it's tiny, it really is tiny. Getting back to the measurements, if we turn it on its side there, so the actual blade stock itself, as far as how thick this comes in at 2.5 millimeters. And then the handle, now the handle, I've got the measurements for the actual handle itself from the very top of the scales either side. If you wanted to add in the clip here, it's an extra 3 or 4 millimeters, which really isn't much. But the thickness of the actual handle, or the widest it would be without that clip on there, is 11.5 millimeters. So it really is a wee little beastie. It really is. It's I was going to use the cute word then. In fact, I will. Let's use the C word. It's cute. Do you know what? It really is cute. And this is what I mean about just a nice kind of fun little knife. It's definitely the type of thing that, as I say, you know, when I pull this out, or when I've used this in the studio, I've certainly not had any issues looking at it. Now, as I mentioned, you know, it really is quite small, so the weight of this comes in at 39 grams. Just some extra materials on here. On the inside, actually, so let's look from the outside. So you have, this is natural G10, which looks like it should glow in the dark, and it's a real shame that it doesn't glow in the dark. It looks like that kind of glow in the dark material, but it isn't. Apparently this is what G10 looks like when it's not being coloured, which Yeah, I quite like. There is a black version of this. It's a really kind of black, murdered out version. It's got a black finish to the blade itself, and it's got black scales on here, and it looks really, really, really nice. But I went for this one purely because I think it's just got a nice look about it. I did like the black one. I might even pick up the black one as well. But yeah, I liked the what's it? As I say though, it really is a shame if they were to do a newer version of this, or just to update it with different scales. You have to throw in glow in the dark with these. It's screaming out for glow in the dark. But the G10 scales themselves, hopefully if I can angle this right so I can get the light in there, you should be able to see so that there are some liners in there, and the liners are just, I've had a look on the website, it just classes them as stainless steel, but that's just to make sure that you've got some rigidity, but also, as I mentioned, there is no back spring on this. It's a very traditional slip joint in the sense that it has a detent. So there are two, which I think is a great thing that they've done that, because two detent pins. I think this is the future. I've started to see this on more knives nowadays, and it does give it a more more of a secure hold. Especially, I know people worry about using slip joints, and you know the worries of them coming out. I think the double detent, one on each side. So as this the two ball detents in there, as this comes around, they slip out and open up, so that when it goes all the way around to the closed position, you can see that it just has a nice little pop in, and it does hold those in place secure enough. Now I mentioned this extended tang, and that is because this is a flipper. Now, as it stands in the pivot here, it does have caged ceramic ball bearings, and they just need to kind of, you know, bed in, to wear in a little bit. You can get it most times. I tend to find I need to hold it just to make sure that I don't fire it out my hand. You can do it with one hand, but you know that one kind of bounced back. But it's got a very, very nice action to it, but similar to my Elementum. So when my Elementum arrived, it just took a month just to kind of bed in, and then you know every single time, bosh, it's just this very smooth, buttery, silky opening to it. Let's get back to the knife. We kind of skipped the knife itself. So the steel on the knife is 9CR, and I always get these wrong. It's 9CR 18 MOV. Again, so it's more of a budget steel, but it's getting into the more of the kind of the medium range. I think I've seen that this is compared to more of like an Oz 8 kind of steel. So you know, it's okay. It's nice. The grind on here is a completely flat grind. I suppose if you were to hold it like this, as though it was flat, and the tang came out that way, it would almost look like a reverse tanto, I guess. Which again, I think with this being a Japanese styled knife, and the fact that you know it's originally designed around that Kiradashi knife, a reverse tanto would make sense. But it's completely flat and has a very, very, very nice grey stonewash to it. If I can bring this in, you can see the stone marks on there. It is really nice. Very, very, very nice. You can see there's some chamfered edges to here as well. So as on your thumb's concerned, there's certainly no hot spots or anything whilst using this. And there's some knurling across the back of the spine of the blade here, just to give you a little bit of grip. I wouldn't say it's particularly aggressive knurling. As far as aiding a grip is concerned, it does a reasonably good job, but it's not like some other knives. But I think with the soft aesthetic of this, I think if they had done more of an aggressive jimping on the back, it probably wouldn't have suited it. There's a little bit here on the underside as well, just to give your finger a bit of a bit there, or I suppose if you're really having to use it like that, then you wouldn't be able to take advantage of the knurling on the underside. Jimping, I'm getting knurling and jimping. And then on the back here, there's that little bit. Now that little bit is the part that is underneath there. What I meant to say was on the top here, so where the flipper is, there's a little bit of jimping on there so that you can get some extra. Like I say, it's just getting the knack of it. I think really you have to hold it there and give it a flick like that rather than rolling like that, because I don't think your finger has enough distance to travel or pick up enough speed. Yeah, so that's the blade itself. The grind on here, which I found with especially the two knives, so it's very uniform all across the way. There are no burrs on it. You know, there's been a lot of attention. You can feel that, you know, that is very sharp. Same here on this side. The grind is perfectly straight and uniform. When it closes perfectly down the center. Certainly no issues with centering there. The pin, or at least the pivot pin, has the standard little C from Civivi on there, which I think is really nice as well. Rather than putting any branding on the blade itself, the blade is completely bare from branding. On this side, which is actually quite hard to see, you might not be able to see it on camera, but just here at the top, you can see that it's got on there that this was designed by Ostap Hell, which again, you know, it's just very subtle, minimal branding, but you've got that C there for Civivi. So that's your pivot pin. There are two pins here on the back, and then on the inside you'll be able to see that there are some barrel spacers in there as well, just to keep it all together. The clip, I forgot the word then. The clip here on the back can be removed and it can be swapped to the other side if you choose to. As far as the clip is concerned, it is a deep carry pocket clip. It comes right up to the end. I mean, if I was picking faults, it's probably maybe a millimeter shorter than the end, but it's you definitely class this as a deep pocket carry clip, and it is a tip up. Whether you're a tip up or you're a tip down kind of person, personally, I don't quite mind. If I'm pulling it out of my pocket like that, I like to be able to get the knife out. So I certainly don't mind tip up. Now, to compare this, what I thought was just to bring in a couple of similar knives, or at least similar in size. Let me just grab these. So what I have is, so this is the Kershaw pub. Now, to look at them, the pub is definitely a larger knife. Now, if you were to take the tang, this is actually an extended tang here on the end. They're pretty much, if I put the pivot down there, they're not too dissimilar in size. The difference, as I say, with the pub is that tang swings round, and that's, again, you know, if you look at the actual cutting edge length, they're not that dissimilar in size. So that's the Kershaw pub. Then there is also the CRKT Dually. So again, you know, if I was to close this, this again does have an extended tang, but you can see they're not too dissimilar in size. Swing around this, and again, when we look at the cutting edges, they're not that dissimilar in size. So there's some similar knives that I own. Now, I'd be doing a disservice if I didn't bring in the Elementum, which, you know, it's almost a David and Goliath kind of story on this. Please, if you've not seen the piece of content wow, that sounded really kind of begging then. Definitely check out up here the content on the Elementum. The movement on this, oh, here you go, trying to do it on camera. The movement on this is possibly the best flipper movement. Not to take anything away from this. This is good, and I think when this beds in, it will be just as good. But the movement on this, it's almost sexual. Okay, I said it. I'm embarrassed to say it, but yeah, it's stunning. But there you go. So here is here is David, and here is Goliath. David and Goliath? Yeah, that's right. In the knife scene, as far as Civivi is concerned. Now, I know I said this at the beginning, but I really do think that the Ki-V from Civivi it's a fun little knife, and I do think that this is the beauty and the charm of this. It's incredibly inoffensive looking. Just the fact that it's got that nice little flick action. I'm still just really kind of waiting for those bearings just to you know, loosen up just that extra little bit more. But it's got a really nice action to it. If you're worried about pulling this out, I've certainly, well, on the occasions that I've whipped this wee beastie out, I get what I get with a lot of things, and people look at it and go, oh, isn't that cute? You know, that's my life story, especially whipping out small things. It's just brilliant. It's, do you know, I could ramble on a lot, and I probably could extend this video by an extra 10 minutes just rambling on about this. It's fun, it's pocket sized, it's that pint sized little, just that pint size, yeah, it is, it's just a little beauty. And I think Civivi are going from strength to strength with these knives. I became a huge fan of theirs purely from the Elementum, and this is my second knife, and yeah, I'm sold, really am. What I'll do, I'll leave some links in the description below so that you can see more from Civivi and their knives. I'll leave some of their social media links as well. I'll also leave some of my social media links as well so that you can see those. After this video, or you'll see this running concurrently with this video, there is that other piece of content around the interview that I did 4 months ago with the team from Crib Goch, so you can see the other piece of content kind of that should have been today, but you know, hopefully weather permitting, that will be next week. And yeah, I hope you like this. I really do think it's a great knife. But for now, stay safe, stay Moorlander, and stay EDC.